on it. It's about evil was. So, the movie Tenet. We gotta talk about this one today. This was a request for a guy in my Inception video that happened over a year ago. Before the movie even came out in theaters, he was like, you gotta watch Tenet. It got Denzel Washington's son in it. You gotta watch it. I was like, all right, let me check it out. It's got Robert Pattinson in there. So, okay, Twilight, but let me check it out, see what happens. It's made by Christopher Nolan. I was like, okay, I got it, dude. Back off, I got you. I'll get to it when I get to it. Because he was a Patreon member, it has taken almost a whole year to finally get to the movie Tenet. And I watched it maybe because I know what a Christopher Nolan movie is. I know, like, hey, you probably should look out for certain things because Christopher Nolan's gonna try to make you think and surprise you and do all these crazy things to you while you watch this movie. It's gotta be a movie you gotta watch multiple times because, oh my God, there's so much going on. And I was kind of like, really? That was it? That's it. This is Tenet. This is Tenet where I got done watching it. And today, I'm going to review it on this episode, Movie Breakdowns. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. And what is Movie Breakdowns? A movie review series. We're looking at new and old movies, give them a grade A through F. Plus and minuses do count. And there's a movie you want me to review? Let me know. Please put in the comment section below and get to it as fast as I can. Also have a Patreon called, I should say. I won't say Patreon slash, but Patreon is called Patreon / Ali Zakka. And on that Patreon, you get first come, first serve. You ask me to do a review, like from one of my Patreon members, Tyreek. He asked me to review a movie. I do it immediately. He put in the conversation on Patreon. I get to it. I review it, and it's up there for him to watch. He can see everything that's coming out before it comes out on Facebook and YouTube. Also on Patreon, you get trailer reaction, trailer reviews, and much more content, much more details. Now, let's get into today's episode of 2020's Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Now, Tenet, this review is going to have spoilers in it. So if you have not seen Tenet, don't listen, go watch the movie, then come back to this. Because, as you know, it's been almost a year, it's at least over 8 months that this movie has been in theaters and been on DVD and everything. You can go watch it, pick it up. I watched it on DVD, and I did notice, because this movie watching IMAX, the DVD I got, it had the frames of the movie would go from IMAX frame to standard frame and back to IMAX frame and back to standard frame. And I noticed it did at certain points in the movie, like there were certain settings, certain situations, it would go from regular standard TV to the IMAX with the bars there and then disappear again. And I didn't really like the frame rate, how it changed on me like that. It really bugged me. They went from standard to IMAX, but I didn't notice it until the very end of the movie. Surprisingly, like, I watched it all the way through and then I started realizing what was really going on, and now I was like, oh, why is it doing that? Is this, why the whole thing in the IMAX bar and the whole frame rate, why it keeps switching from frame rate to my IMAX to standard? And the only movie I remember doing this was Transformers: The Last Night, which is not a movie you want to be compared to. Sorry, Christopher Nolan. Sorry, Denzel Washington's son, which I need to remember his name. But we'll talk about that in the characters section. Matter of fact, his actual name is John David Washington. Sorry, John David Washington. But that frame rate change really bugged me. If you watch this on DVD, let me know if you guys seen the same thing. Cause I'm pretty sure you watched it in theater, it'd probably be a whole different thing. You probably wouldn't notice it. But that's one thing that threw me off. But as far as the storyline of this movie, wasn't a bad storyline. It's actually taught out pretty dang well. And as they said, it's a spoiler, so I'm gonna jump into it. You have a guy who works for the government, CIA or FBI, not FBI, CIA, but he works for a government intelligence agency. Then he pretty much gets caught at the beginning of the movie and commits suicide. He takes a cyanide pill, I believe it's called, and try to, kill himself. But it doesn't work. He wakes up and they put him on another mission to figure out how these bullets are manufactured. So these bullets do like a reverse thing. He experienced it in at the beginning of the movie where he's trying to invade and save this guy, where a gun hole was made in the wall, and then it revert itself, or I should say invert itself. Special word. Get ready to hear the word inversion throughout this movie. Invert itself backwards. And he was like, what in the world? And as he gets taught on what this is, he tried to go find the maker of this weapon, because the person who makes this weapon actually has the blueprint to pretty much destroy the whole world, and the rest of the life in the world as we know it will invert itself and explode, and it just starts all over again. Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII with destroying the world, and every other must destroy the world or build a new one. General Zod. I'm going on a tangent there, but that's pretty much what it is. You have the main character who's trying to figure out who created these weapons to stop the person from doing so, and as he's finding out who created these weapons, that, oh, the world is not at stake because this dude is planning on using this bomb, per se, to destroy everything we know and love. That's Tenet. That is Tenet. That is the complete premise of Tenet. But how do we get there is a whole nother situation, because what I just told you on the baseline there is so much more deeper than that. What happens is the guy you meet, whose name is the protagonist, he doesn't have an actual name, as protagonist, when he's on this mission to figure out who created these weapons, that if you shoot a bullet, instead of like going forward, it actually reverses because it's going backwards in time. And this is called inversion. And as the character is witnessing things going forward motion, he's also witnessing things going backwards motion. There's a cool hallway scene where he's fighting a guy in backwards fighting, and the choreography behind it is really good. It's like, I can't even express how great that scene is. I'm gonna put in the clips here because it's such a good scene where they're fighting each other, but they're fighting in reverse, and it is so cool. But it's because there's like not even a parallel universe. It's almost like a parallel time frame where you go through these machines that put you in reverse order. So you're doing everything you're doing now, but doing it backwards. And anybody you see in this reverse order or inversions are doing things backwards, but they're normally moving forward. There's a scene where they're on a highway and this car is driving backwards, and they're like, why is this car driving backwards? And he's not really driving backwards, he would be driving forward, but he's flipped in the inversion world, so he's driving backwards. It's a weird thing, and it's really hard to kind of express in a video. You have to actually see it. But think of this. Think of seeing yourself in the mirror, and think of everything that you do with your right hand, the mirror reflects it. Think of it that way. Think of it like that, and think of you're seeing the backwards of everything, and everything's moving in reverse to your eyes, but on the other flip side of it, that's actually moving forward. It's weird. I know. But it's a pretty neat concept. It's definitely worth the watch. It's not hard to follow. A lot of people I don't understand what's going on. I did have to rewind it a few times. I would watch on DVD to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I did rewind some cool scenes. I was like, that's pretty awesome. But it's told, the story tells you what's happening. It's telling you exactly what's going on. And then when you get to the big reveal into the movie, which is the last hour of it, you're like, oh, that's what's going on. This is how it's happening. Huh. Okay. And then from there, it takes off. At the last hour of the movie, it takes off. And this movie is 2 hours, 30 minutes long. So it took a whole hour and 30 minutes for me to get to that point where I was like, oh my gosh. Because up to it, it was exposition, a little peaks in adrenaline and action, but mostly exposition, plot point, exposition, plot point, last hour. Here we go. And it was cool. The first half of the movie would be like, this is a C movie, nothing too wow, nothing too It's not like Inception, but it's not like Transformer the Last Night. the last hour though, you're like, oh my gosh, like I did not realize it picks up when it actually revealed what's been going on, and then you start getting more details and seeing more action versus just talking points. It is solid stuff, solid work. Now let me go ahead and get into the characters, because for me to really talk about certain stuff, I need to really talk about these characters. So you have John David Washington, who plays protagonist. Once again, the acting, I would say right now, across the board, is phenomenal in this movie. The acting is so good. And John David Washington does a great job expressing his emotions, expressing what he's thinking, expressing what he's going through. Now, as far as character development in this movie, you really don't have much character development for pretty much most of the characters. John David Washington, at the beginning of the movie, he comes in a certain way, and he leaves the same exact way. There is no character arc. It is complete flatline character. That's fine though, because his character was changing the world around him. Like the things that he's doing is affecting other people. He's getting the mob to work with him, getting this person to work with him, getting that person to work with him based off his goal that he needs to accomplish. And there is one character in this movie that he comes in contact with and somewhat cares for. So like he personally doesn't really care about like the weapons and everything. He doesn't really want the world to be destroyed, but he's like, I'm just trying to find out who make these weapons. I really don't care about the person who doing it. I don't really care about, I just want to know how they found. But this girl though, I care about her and the fact that she needs to see her kid. And I want to make sure that she sees her kid. I'm doing this to really stake it out for her. He's like, I think he actually says in one point in the movie that he doesn't really have any skin in the game. If I remember, I watched this 2 days ago. And I'm trying to remember if he actually said he doesn't really care about the world per se, but he more cares about this girl's safelyhood. And that girl, by the way, is Elizabeth Debicki, who plays Kat. He meets her. She's the wife of Kenneth Branagh character, who's Andre Sater, who I love how Honest Trailer, if not, is pitch meetings. One of those two mentioned how Kenneth Branagh character looked like Harvey Weinstein, and I saw it too, and I was like, oh god, that's not good. But he's a bad guy. He's made it look like a bad guy. He pretty much trying to kill the protagonist to make sure he doesn't get in the way of him accomplishing his goal of blowing up the whole world and setting everything up. So Kat is married to him, but she's kind of like forced to be in this marriage, and she really is in it for her kid. The protagonist sees this, he wants to get her free, wants to get the kid free, so that's why he's doing everything in the movie. Kat really is the only person in this movie that really has a little bit of an arc, and she really just like kind of got the gall to really stand up to her, not even gall, but gumption to stand up against her husband, who's abusive and just really messed up person, to stand up and like, I want to be free, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And the protagonist is like, I'm here to rescue you, I'm here to save you kind of thing. But it was just happenstance. He might have feelings for her, we really don't know. He just like, I'm going to help her out, and she might have feelings for him, we really don't know. But she's like, okay, I get ready to get out, I get ready to be with my kid and have my kid respect. But those three characters, by the way, all great. And then Kenneth Branagh, his character, Andre Sater, yeah, he's menacing. He's a guy you just don't like. You're like, I can't stand this dude. He's a bad guy. You're just like, I want to see him lose. And his goal was he had a bomb created, which all these weapons make one giant bomb that it pretty much inverts everything, where the real world touches the inverted world and explode and set the whole thing up. And his body is set to this time bomb, so when he dies, it will cause the world to explode. And Kat, the protagonist, got to stop this guy. Also with the help of Neil, who played by Robert Pattinson. He's also part of it. He's been a part of the mission the whole time. Him and the protagonist have some good buddy cop moments where they go back and forth. They like kind of help each other out. And it's a lot of like deception and a lot of, I gotta hide some stuff for the sake of plot. I gotta do this for the sake of plot that these two go through. But you can see at the end of the movie, they're kind of like really solid friends. And because you can go back in time, because you can go back and revert the past and change certain things, Neil is actually brought back into the past to save the protagonist, who pretty much the protagonist sent them from the future into the past. Yeah, we're talking about time travel, because that's what this movie is mostly about. Time travel, inversion, time travel, going to past, reverse world, all this stuff. It's a lot going on here, which I'm not even sure if I really express the inversion world. I talked about like kind of looking in the mirror, but when you go to the inversion world, you're kind of going into the past as well. So everything's happening in reverse because it already happened in the future, but it's into the present. It looks like it's happening in reverse. It's happening like right now, but it's the future that's happening. And the future is taking place. So everything's reversed in the present is because it's already happened in the future. It's just catching up to you. It's weird. So I wouldn't call it like a mirror world like I said before, but more like a past mirror thing. Yeah, I know. You listen to like, what the heck is going on? What the heck is happening here? Yeah, no, it's a really unique concept. I think it's worth watching, and it's really hard to express this movie. You have to watch it, really see what is going on here. That like the things happening in the present is happening in reverse. It's really just happening in the past or happening in the future, and it's catching up to your present state. It's some crazy stuff. Aaron Taylor, who plays Ives, it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, by the way, not just Aaron Taylor. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays Ives, he's cool. Like, he's only there for a moment. This is actually Quicksilver from Avengers Age of Ultron. And the last person to talk about here, Priya. She's the original person who sent the protagonist on the mission to, she leads him to Sator, who's the one who's been creating the weapons and everything, and she's kind of like give the protagonist background and details of stuff. Just kind of there as a exposition point. But I thought she did a good job. To be honest, this acting across the board is a great job. I love the acting across the board. I think everybody did a phenomenal job on this. The choreography, the settings, the music, I think all of it is great. The lighting is great. Chris Minogue knows how to direct and make a movie and make it really it's such a beautifully good looking movie with CGI to special effects. All of it is such awe-inspiring and eye-catching that you're like, oh my gosh, it is really, really, really done really, really well. It's just the story and pacing of it just seems to me kind of off. And then there's certain questions like, how did the machines get made to go back in time or to go into like the inversion world? There's no really answer to that. How did certain people know about it? Why did some people don't know about it? No answer to that. At the end of the movie, when they're trying to stop the bomb from going off, who are they fighting? Like, they're shooting at people that you don't see who they're shooting at. So I'm like, does Sator have a group of people that he has set up ready to fight them? Does he know they're coming for the bomb? Or does the place is already shut down by a government facility that like they already have to go in and start fighting stuff? And then some people go into the past and fight the bad guys, and people go to the future or in the present day and fight the bad guys. So moving forward and backwards in time. There's so many questions that comes from this. You're just like, I don't get it. Who are they fighting? Why are they fighting these people? Where are the gunshots coming from? Well, you're like, well, Ali, it'd be boring for them just to walk up into the bomb spot and just, stop the guy from like, but that make more sense. So there's some plot holes in this movie that I'm just like, nah, that doesn't work for me, bro. Not at all. But other than that, I think it's a fine movie. It's a fine movie. Alright. Is this a movie you should watch? Yes, you should watch this movie. In grading time, I'm going to grade the movie Tenet 2020 a solid B-. It's a B-. Like I said, the first hour and 30 minutes of the movie is slow, but the last hour you're like, okay, everything's making sense, it's clicking. Some of the frame rate things bothered me, like went from IMAX to standard. Also, the question of who they're fighting, that never really like made sense to me. Like, who they're fighting at the end of the movie, like this is just happening. But other than that, it's fine. It's a solid movie. B-. You watch it, you might enjoy it, you might not. Really, I enjoyed this, but also knew what to look for. Just understand when you watch this movie by Christopher Nolan that you need to pay attention. So, yeah, it's a B- for me. If you seen the movie Tenet, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, you want to see what else I'm doing in my normal life and other things that's going on, please follow me on Instagram at Ali_Zakka. I'll put it right here around my face. Yep, right there. Also, if you want more episode of movie breakdowns or grind towards success or whatever it is I'm doing on YouTube, you know what? Follow my page right here, like I said before, the little comment thing right there, And then you can watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns right here, and watch the last episode of Grind Towards Success right there. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all next time. Keep being awesome.